The Bucks blew out the Bulls 119-95 to take a 3-1 series lead. Giannis continued to dominate with his 12th career 30-point, 10-rebound, 5-assist game in the postseason, the third most since the merger. The Heat also took a 3-1 series lead with a 24-point win versus the Hawks. Jimmy Butler recorded his sixth 30-point game in the postseason with the Heat, third most in franchise history behind Wade and LeBron. And looking ahead to tonight, the Celtics going for the sweep against the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn opened the season as favorites to win the NBA Finals at Caesars and are now on the brink of a first-round sweep. Before we get into the debate, Stephen A., I understand there's something you wanted to address.
Something I wanted to add,
and
I wanted to add it right here with Tim Legler in attendance with me because he's done such an exceptional job of coaching, covering the NBA for all of these years. I'd be remiss in neglecting to point out that as we talk about these players sitting, we don't point out the instigator of all of this, the number one culprit with these players' willingness to sit out, load management, all of this other stuff. That would happen to be a man that I revere and respect profoundly. His name is Greg Popovich. That is the one person that has to be held accountable when we're lamenting this. I remember one year when the Miami Heat were playing a game in Orlando. They had a game the next night, nationally televised on TNT. Whatever his friction was with former Commissioner David Stern, Greg Popovich sent Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker home. How did we know that? They were on a line for Chick-fil-A in the Orlando airport about to board Southwest. Am I lying?
Nope.
True story.
Remember it well.
They were waiting to board Southwest to San Antonio, and they were standing in the line for Chick-fil-A, and people were like, aren't they supposed to be playing tonight in Miami? And so the point is that as we sit here and we lament the state of affairs that exist with these players not prioritizing, showing up to work and valuing the regular season on a regular basis. I'm not accusing the great Greg Popovich of devaluing it. You're saving the players their legs and all of this other stuff, and I get it. Plus, your relationship with Commissioner Stern is believed to have had something to do with that. But he was very unapologetic in making those decisions to sit players. And it made it easier for the players to do that themselves. We can't talk about the players making some of these decisions and leave Greg Popovich's name out of the mix. That's all I have to say.
That's fair. I'll start with you here, Tim. Getting back to the East, we gave the little recap there. Who's the best team right now?
A couple months ago, I picked the Bucks and Warriors to meet in the finals. I picked the Warriors to win it all. And I started to wonder about that, obviously, when they started having all those injuries. Draymond went down, sure. Steph got hurt. Of course, yes. You're going to doubt it. But what I'm seeing is what I thought I was going to see, right?
That's
so
right.
I'm like, okay, fortunately, that pick is still out there.
Yes,
So
yes, that's right.
It came full circle like a boomerang. The Warriors are back. Okay, so that's the West. The East, staying with Milwaukee, and here's why. I know how impressive Boston has been. I know what their defenses look like. The numbers speak for themselves. I see what they're doing to one of the greatest offensive players this league has ever seen. In this series, here's why I like Milwaukee. The length that Boston has defensively is bothering Kevin Durant. The physicality that they have that is bothering Kevin Durant. Those things don't affect Giannis. Giannis is different. Giannis is going to be able to do his thing physically. Now, listen, going into last postseason, he still had to answer the bell about certain things. Could you have finesse in your game when we need you to have finesse? Can you make a pull-up 18-footer if you have to? Can you make free throws at an important moment if you had to? Because the physical part, he could overwhelm you. He did it time and time again. But 2 straight postseasons, Toronto bottled him up by basically going to 5 guys in the paint against him. He didn't have an answer for it. Then the Miami series, he rolled his ankle, but they were also doing the same thing to him. He did not have an answer for it. So the doubt was there. He answered it. He can come through in a way now in a certain aspect of his game if that's what the situation requires. So I have faith in him physically still being able to do what he does. Now, listen, I understand that Chris Middleton's
That's where I was going, but Chris Middleton's not 100%, not playing right now.
Big factor. That could turn. I mean, they might come out and say at some point, hey, he's going to be out longer. They could come back and say, hey, he's going to give it a go. He's going to give us something. Still have Drew Holiday. They still have some of the best role definition of any team in the league. They've got great three-point shooting. They got Lopez back now as a rim protector and a guy that can stretch the floor. Connaughton came back. Bobby Portis is playing great for them. Grayson Allen has been a nice addition for them. My faith is in Giannis and the fact that these guys know how to get it done when they have to.
Okay.
Now, Middleton's a big factor. Don't get me wrong. He's going to have to make an appearance, I believe, in the series. Mm-hmm. But I just think they answered the questions I had about them last season, and I'm going to put my faith in them more so than a Celtics defense that could do certain things to certain guys. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they could do it to that guy.
This is how much I love you. On this show, you just took up all my time. I only got a minute to respond to you.
For once.
I'm going to let that slide because it's you, Tip, like my brother from another mother. Here's the deal.
Karma.
Here's the deal. There we go. Is that the Benedict on?
Oh, my goodness.
But it's all right. Here's the deal,
joking.
y'all. This is a very simple answer for me. First of all, apologies to Cavalier Johnson, the present mayor of Milwaukee.
Did you see your gift basket?
Yeah. I gave it to her around the office. I gave it.
That was good.
I didn't get anything. But
I threw out the
nice.
bratwurst. I want no damn bratwurst, all right? But let me say this about no disrespect to Cavalier Johnson, the mayor of Milwaukee. But y'all ain't going to no damn finals. I don't believe it. And maybe it's wishful thinking because I would much rather be in South Beach. And we know this, and that's why I don't mention Miami much because I'm not trying to jinx myself. But Jimmy Butler and the crew know where I want to be. They know where I want to be. Having said all of that, I think Boston's going to take Milwaukee. You got to have Middleton in order to pull out that series, in my estimation. Now, Grayson Allen deserves a lot of credit, and the Bulls should be ashamed of himself after him hurting Alex Caruso early in the season. He giving it to them. Drew Holiday is big time. Giannis is Giannis, and Bobby Portis, I'm a fan. But I just think that when you look at Boston and the kind of defense that they play collectively, along with the emergence of a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown, I think they have enough to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. And that's who I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking about Boston instead of Milwaukee. It's really, really that simple. And Miami, I ain't mention you because I ain't trying to jinx my aspirations for May.
Okay, stay
June.
focused. We got to get in a commercial break.
There's a
We
distraction.
know
Miami's a
why you like
distraction.
South Beach. We
It's a
get it.
distraction.
One game away from elimination, and Ben's.
Hi, Maz. How you feeling about your Celtics at this hour?
I mean, my overall opinion of the series with the Bucks has not changed, which is to say that if Middleton doesn't play, and I don't think he's going to, they shouldn't lose this series. I really come back to that. So Giannis in and of himself is formidable, but they have more alternatives than Milwaukee does if everybody's healthy. And I think everybody is, for the most part. So everybody's going to have bumps and bruises. And as good as Giannis is, I think Giannis does have holes in his game. So I look at it and say, I'm sorry, you have home court. They don't have Middleton. You should win the series.
Without Middleton, the Celtics are deeper. And the one thing that I really liked about the sweep of the Nets is that they proved they can win close games. Again, 18-point margin. They won game 1 by 1 point, game 2 by 7, game 3 by 6, game 4 by 4. So I think this is going to be a tough series, but they've proven they can win close games. So I take the Bucks more seriously than other people do. Yeah, it's going to be another sweep or like 5 games. I think that's crazy. At a minimum 6, but I think it'll go 7 and the Celtics will win, and it'll help the fact that they have home court.
So I agree the Celtics shouldn't lose. They should be favored. They should win. They should. They might be a better team, all things being equal, but all things aren't equal. They have home court and they're healthier, the Middleton thing. So the Celtics shouldn't lose, I agree. But I do think the Bucks are being, undervalued a little bit, or maybe the Celtics being overvalued, however you want to look at that. You said the Celtics are minus 200, in a perspective
I think that was yesterday,
series.
yeah.
I think there's good value on the Bucks side there. And I think people are overplaying the Middleton thing a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. Yes, he is the Bucks' number 2, but that ain't Scottie Pippen. That ain't Klay Thompson. That ain't, I don't know. Give me another one.
Frankly, I think that's not Jaylen Brown.
It's not. He is an overrated all-star, which is, it sounds like I'm repping him. I love the guy. Good, steady, pro. He's developed a clutch gene that I love. He's decent defensively. I think people sort of elevate him to the superstar status that he's just not. He's just not. And the Bucks are a little bit more of a team approach around Giannis than people are giving credit for. They do not play a two-man game. I mean, sometimes, sure, there's some actions with LeBron, I was going to say, with Giannis and Middleton, but that ain't really how they play. Sometimes, but not a lot. They have Giannis, who penetrates and does it all, and then they kind of have 4 guys lined up on the 3-point line, like, for lack of a better term, and it ain't just Middleton out there. And they all shoot. The Bucks are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the NBA. In the regular season, they had the 5th highest three-point field goal percentage in the league. And in the playoffs, they're 4th highest in field goal percentage. They're also top 5 in attempts. So they take among the most three-pointers in basketball, and it hasn't changed in the playoffs, Middleton or no Middleton. And they make among the most three-pointers in basketball, Middleton or no Middleton. So they played the last 2 games without Middleton, and they still chuck, and they still make. So if you think like Middleton going down changes what they are, it's not. They just have one less shooter. And so here's what I'm telling you. The Bucks right now are shooting, they are, again, 4th in three-point percentage, while they finished 5th in the NBA in the regular season in three-point field goal percentage at 36.6. In the postseason, they're shooting a little bit better, 37.8. If they get to 40%, they'll win. If they shoot 40% from behind the line, they will win. Now you will say to me, Maz, well, Brooklyn shot 42%. They did. Brooklyn shot 42% from behind the line in that series, and they still got swept. In Milwaukee, it's different. Milwaukee's different because they will defend. They will get stops. Giannis is going to be harder to stop than Durant in some respects because at least Giannis is going to bull his way to the line. And it's just sort of how they're built. They're built to, the reason the Bucks shoot so well out there, it's not like they've got all these great sharpshooters. They're good shooters, but they're not elite. They're open. They're open. I mean, we mentioned it yesterday. Drew Holiday's shooting as well from behind the line in the last couple of years with Milwaukee as he has in his entire career. And the answer is simple.
Giannis.
He's open because he's open. On defense, you have to collapse Giannis. So those guys are open. Brook Lopez shoots open three-pointers, and Pat Connaughton shoots open three-pointers. And Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday shoot open three-pointers. If they make, they can beat you. I know you can say that about most NBA teams, but I think particularly Milwaukee. They live and die by the three. They do. And it's Giannis's team, but when it's not him, they're shooting the three ball. And if they make, they can beat you. Middleton or no Middleton. I think people are putting a little too much on the Middleton thing.
I'm just trying to find the percentage of what Milwaukee was against the Celtics during the regular season from three-point distance. I can't find it. So because I was curious as to whether the Celtics have done a good job defending him on that line. Mike, if they get to 40%, like you were just saying, they'll definitely win.
I mean, so
that's a big number.
Brooklyn got to 42 and got swept. If the Bucks do that, they'll win. If the Bucks do that, they'll win.
Mike, there was one season where Chris Middleton shot 55% from three-point range against the Celtics. Middleton's a big factor in the series.
I know. I don't mean to. I think people bring it, but people act like he's the only guy. Like it's a two-man team, and when Giannis isn't shooting, Middleton is. It's not the way they play. It's just not. Trust me. I'm not telling you that. I believe me. I'd rather have Middleton. I'm not. You're like we're better without Middleton. It's just that ain't. If people say he's Robin. This lame ass NBA thing, Batman and Robin.
Batman's on the Celtics.
You freaking children. I mean, it's just a childish NBA thing.
Fun.
But either way, he ain't that. I mean, I don't think he's their second best player, but that doesn't mean it's just.
He's more like Commissioner Gordon.
It's just not how they play.
So against the Celtics, they were 34.4% from three. So a little lower than what they were doing against him, which makes sense because the Celtics are good defensively on the perimeter. So I would say that's it's a key spot in this series if we're talking about that area. I think Middleton's a bigger loss than you do because I think he's a go-to guy for them. I think when you need a shot, he's the one you're looking for. So where do they go after that? I don't know. Could those guys make it? Sure. But his absence to me, the Celtics should win this series. They should win this series. They got more guys to defend them than Milwaukee does.